Hi, welcome to my channel. Today is the second day of December 2023. I'm coming to you from rural Tennessee in an area called the Western Highland Rim with geological features such as these rock formations. I find it just fascinating to come down here on a weekly basis, and my goal for this video is to create an intention for myself to spend quality time outside. As I was walking over here, um, something spontaneous happened that may not have happened if I'd come out here earlier in the day. About 6 or 7 does kind of heard me softly walking through the grass and ran. Of course, I didn't have the phone on to record any of that. And then as I was coming up towards the bluff to walk down here, a giant crane was flying in the sky. So those are just some lessons that I always try to remind myself about timing, and how like sometimes we get these like weird obstacles, traffic, all the red stoplights, whatever it might be, right? That we might get frustrated because we're not on time, quote unquote on time, society's time, to be a certain place, right? Or something delays us. But maybe there's underlying intentions in that, and if we go with the flow, which is why I come down here to the river to remind myself of this, that sometimes like magical things happen, right? We get to see something that maybe we wouldn't be able to see. Sometimes I drive into town at a different time of the day, and on my way back, the sun is setting, and I'm watching this amazing sunset. Or the weather pattern brings you something, right? So anyway, I'm Val, and this is Forest Fridays. So if you're interested in following me and watching the terrain change through the seasons, this is a great thing to come through. And even if you don't want to listen, quote unquote, listen to me, but you want to watch what we're doing. So one of my goals is to um, also read a little bit of poetry. So I'm in this book right now, and I'm in the section called Impermanence. I did look at where I'm at in my page count, and I found a few that I think are going to be interesting to read today. The other aspect of this is that I am actually certified as a forest therapy guide. This is not a standard forest therapy walk. I would encourage you to look for a guide in your area if you are interested in having some intentional time outside. Sometimes we need that guide to help us, just to give us the invitations and allow us to not be concerned with the physical time, or all the other things that may be going on in our heads. So a guide will help you to do that. The forest, on the other hand, is always there for you, and even in the dead of winter, right? So we are in December. There are some trees that still have their leaves, and you can see blue sky there, but gray clouds coming in. So I have been watching the weather app just to see how things were going to be today and progressing. So there's a definite front coming through. Tomorrow there will be winds and high winds, and the temperature is going to change. So what's really cool about living in this particular area is like the jet stream comes through at kind of an angle, and you can really see it happening. So if you're watching one of those people on the weather app, it's really cool to be outside and be able to physically watch this stuff happen. The other thing that I'm noticing, so I'm encouraging you to notice what you notice. So I don't know if it's coming through on the video, but the color, like those rocks haven't changed. They're there from beginning of the planet, right? They've been carved out by the water. But the color today is really wild. So I'm gonna walk over there real quick and let's check it out. Oh no, they just seem extra blue to me today. And look at all the amazing moss that grows up there. And this kind of like shelf thing, the way that the rocks are layered. So all along this river, you can find, and in this area, which is why it's called the Western Highland Rim, it's the foothills of Appalachia. So as you're coming out of the mountainscape, you know, the geology is going to change. But yeah, this is just really cool to come down and look at. And then the trees that hang out over. Exciting. Yeah, I'm not sure what how the color is going to translate. I'm uploading these videos without even watching them after I finish. I can't do live down here because the cell phone service is not connecting, but you get the gist. Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, I actually was over at looking at some mushrooms on a tree, so I thought we could also go over that direction, and that's where I'll set this down for a few minutes, and you can watch the water. The water is unbelievable color today too. So I've mentioned in other videos that there's actually up this river here, it's kind of like a horseshoe shape. Water comes down, curves, and then kind of hits here. So it hits these rocks here, and oftentimes it'll bring big trees and a lot of other rocks. So they settle onto this kind of like island here, and depending on the level of rain, time of year, I literally am on an island, or there's like little ponds that we can see when we walk by right now. I'm not a biologist, so I know that there's a term for this part of a river. If you happen upon this video and you are a biologist and you want to leave me a comment, that'd be awesome. Not sure what keywords or tags to put on here to get this to be something that interests people. You know, my goal is to help you disconnect from those fast-paced things and those obligations that you're in, and have a moment, you know, to just kind of sit and ponder, take in all of the benefits of the natural world, and also just the lessons, right, of like random things happening and things that are out of our control, and what do we worry about, and what are our priorities, what can we let go of. So I definitely try to remind myself of some of those things when I come down here. So yeah, water's really pretty today. One of the things that does happen, like I mentioned, is the trees will either fall. So like this one had a root system over there and fell over. And that's kind of why it's still sitting there, because most of the other trees, they're going to get washed down. and eventually wherever this river goes, right? The river's a watershed. Eventually, all of this water goes out into the Mississippi Delta. This tree right here was a tree that got washed down and got stuck. And same with that tree right there. And for a while, the rocks in between there were not there. And that was like this really cool little swimming hole. Okay. Super pretty. Okay, this first one was written by A.R. Emmons. Adjust myself here. Okay. Who was alive from 1926 to 2001. The title of this is In Memoriam Me Noblet. It has quite a few stanzas. This is just a place we go around distanced yearly in a star's atmosphere, turning daily into and out of direct light and slanting through the quadrant seasons. Deep space begins at our heels, nearly rousing us loose. We look up or out so high. Sights, silk almost draws us away. This is just a place. Currents worry themselves, coiled and free in airs and oceans. Water picks up mineral shadow and plasm into billions of designs, frames. Trees, grains, bacteria, but is love a reality we made here ourselves, and grief did we design? That, or do these, like currents, whine in and out among us merely? As we arrive and go, this is just a place, the reality we agree with. That agrees with us, outbounding this, arrives to touch, joining with us from far away. Our home, which defines us elsewhere, but not. So far away we have forgotten it. This is just a place. This one was translated from the Greek by Edmund Keeley and Karen Emmerich. The author, Yanis Ritsos, 1909 to 1990. The title is February 23. So even though it's December, I want to kind of keep an order of the pages and not have to come back and forth. So I decided to go ahead and read it. The moon white drummed tight like the belly of the drowned. Manalus used to say, everything's going to be fine. His heart said so. Manalus down in the deep water with the blind seaweed. Okay, and then the last one for today is by Ruth Stone, 1915 to 2011. It's called Train Ride, so I think that's an interesting contrast, right? Because of a train is a mechanical thing, but it does move us from one place to another, like the river moves itself. It moves water, it moves things that float on top of it or things that are underneath it. Train ride. All things come to an end. Small calves in Arkansas, the bend of the muddy river. Do all things come to an end? No, they go on forever. They go on forever. The swamp, the vine-choked cypress, the oaks rattling last year's leaves, the thump of the rails, the kite, the still white, stilted heron. All things come to an end. The red clay bank, the spread hawk, the bodies riding this train, the stalled truck, pale sunlight, the talk. The talk goes on forever. The wide, dry field of geese, a man stopped near his porch to watch. Release, release. Between cold death and a fever, send what you will. I will listen. All things come to an end. No, they go on forever. There's a light breeze right now, and the air is just super, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just very crisp. It smells like water. It's light to the touch. It definitely feels like a Winnie the Pooh kind of day. Notice how the clouds started to come in. It's the afternoon, getting ready to feed my donkeys after I finish up with you. Gets dark here about 5 o'clock. And the, what is it, the solstice? No, the equinox? No. Well, whatever it is that changes the time, I might pray, in a few more weeks, which is going to be interesting. Okay, so one of the things that I like to recommend is that you take time to look up. So I think the sky today is very interesting. It definitely feels like a cloudy river. Before we go up to the bluff, we'll just take another look at the river. And I like to ask you to just notice what you're noticing if I'm not talking. For example, you can see the breeze in the weeds here, the weed tree. And how the water levels change based on where there are no leaves and leaves deposited, or the trees that have been bunched up. Something, oh crap, let's go this way. Something sweet in the air. You see the fishies? The leaves. So the island, when this area here is full of water, and usually in the springtime with the heavy rains from winter, and then it meets back up with the river right there. The blue grays, blue, gray, green grays today are really lovely. And then you contrast that with all the browns of the leaves and the chert. This is definitely a Stairmaster. Let's walk back up. Dry flowers. So fascinating how they just started to grow wild like that here. If you know anyone with accessibility issues, please share this with them. Not everyone can come out here and experience this way, and I think it's a really nice opportunity. If you know of any kids or science teachers, the stick in my hand, this is Usnea, and This grows where the air is really clean. Super fun to find. Okay, we're up here at the top. I hear a truck going by. Maybe that's our train ride sound. So I don't know if you can see the mushrooms down there. We just walked up. And I like to take us on a walk this way. Remember the poem we just listened to about the leaves that stay? I just love the way they flutter, glisten almost. Again, the mushrooms are a really good kind of like identifier of like spatialness. And then what I love being up here is you can see this farm across the river, the color. When I teach design and I talk about art, I teach about like Photoshop and that type of thing, and I'll ask students the question about how many crayons they liked in the crayon box, right? Do you want the 8 or the 600, 500 and whatevers? And some people will say the 8 because it's less decisions. Those are the defaults on a Photoshop palette, or the red coming out of the tube of paint. But what I really love are these muted colors, that like weird green, silvery green. You can barely see it when you color in a coloring book, but out here it makes total sense that can be a crayon color. Let's see if we find any other interesting greenish colors, because I feel like that's been the theme of the day. And then we'll say goodbye until next week. Again, please like and subscribe. I'm doing something different than a lot of other people are doing on YouTube. Relatively new to this platform. I actually tried to do this a few years ago, but did not have broadband, so I was limited a little bit to my uploading, and then life kind of hit me like a tidal wave, and I had to kind of give up on a lot of my goals. But picking things back up again, I love the ferns, the pops of grass, the sunlight comes in here, some more mushrooms. I don't know if you can hear it. All right, well, I'm looking at the lines of the trees. It's very poetic. If you're an artist or a writer and you come across my videos, I do have a residency program here. You have access to all of the acreage, and I include the link to my website and application for that as well in this video. So I'm going to turn this around one more time as I head out to go feed the donkeys. And I just want to say thank you for sticking with me. And yeah, have a great week.